All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel. If you are new to the channel, my name is Rashad Milligan. This is the Road to 2K Subs, and I'm joined here today by a very, very special guest. Now, hold on now. Here we go. All right, so you might be Rashad. How you get connected? All right, let me tell you something. I'll shoot my shot with about 1 billion people. It feels like a week. 1 million of the billion don't respond. And then some of the folks that y'all see, and y'all like, oh, get them back. Them jokers got agents of planners of agents and managers of agents of the planners of the managers of the agents. It's not that simple. I do this for the people. I do this for the people first of all. So when I seen, one of the MVPs, they're sending this around of the WNBA different awards, the Twitter awards of the season. So when I see one of the MVPs of WNBA Twitter this past season, I see this brother right here. I see this young man right here. And he just happens to be from Georgia. So I said, hold on, let me shoot my shot here. I had some people planned and they had to postpone. They got 8 billion jobs. You know how that goes. I was like, let me see if Mans will holler back at me. Hit him up in the DM. He hit me right back. I'm always down. I said, that's what I'm talking about. I appreciate that. Everybody, man, from LA Sparks. LA Sparks fans, stand up right now. LA Sparks, pause the video, stand up right now, man. You got my boy Bailey Caldwell in the building. Bailey, how you doing, first of all?
That was a great intro. I love that. That personality in that intro is second to none. A lot of times you come on here with people in there. We got this person you may know from Twitter, W Lead, whatever, That was phenomenal. I appreciate that energy, setting the mood right.
Man, you know how if you come on the channel, man. First, I gotta show you how appreciative I am of you. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is someone. Oh, hold on. I didn't even say. You talk about the Twitter and everything like that. We didn't even talk about. You might know him from. He had a little back and forth with. I don't know, someone by the name of Sue. You might have heard of her, Sue Bird. On this channel. There's this whole thing of me and Sue Bird on the channel, like where I like. Always talk down about her GOAT status and stuff, which we'll get to later in the episode and stuff like that. But, he had a little back and forth with Sue Bird, and a couple other WNBA players noticed him this past season. First things first, I guess, staying on Twitter before we get into the Sparks in the playoffs. Just what were some of your favorite moments of Twitter this past season for you on WNBA Twitter?
WNBA Twitter is such a cool place compared to like NBA Twitter. Everybody's a lot closer and it's a lot smaller and a little less toxic. There's a handful of people that are very toxic, don't get me wrong, but it's a cool place. And this season, I was a little more immersed in it, particularly through W Lead. We started our branch just the beginning of the year. For myself personally, on my personal page, some of the cooler things, I did get into a bit of a disagreement with Sue Bird and her army of fans after the first Sparks game when Brittany Sykes crossed her over. She was claiming to step on Mercedes Russell's foot, but if anything, the video evidence showed that Mercedes Russell saved her from being worse. Speaking of that, got my Erica Wheeler shirt on.
He got it on. You got the E Wheeler on there. Hey, shout out to E Wheeler, man. Hey, we working on it. We working on E Wheeler later. You know what I'm saying? But shout out to E Wheeler, man. Oh, that was one of my favorite moments. Talking about WNBA Twitter moments. It was E Wheeler yesterday. She went through everybody who has ever mentioned her name about these crossovers and retweeted every single one. You scroll on her page, you're going. There's still retweets from yesterday. That's the type of petty that I think will take the game to the next level. Just, how'd you feel about the crossover? How'd you feel about both of her crossovers, both of her bodies, and everything like that?
Well, the first Sue Bird incident. The Sue Bird incident with Erica Wheeler. Sue Bird could have been concussed. She hit the ground hard. I think it might have measured on the Richter scale how hard she hit the ground, because it was the same move Erica Wheeler's done for years now in the league. But Sue, hips out of place, ankles out of place, and respectfully, she's 40 years old. She can't recover like she might have once could. She was never a plus defender anyway. But, 29-year-old Sue Bird may not have fallen as hard as she did. But she hit the ground hard. And then a few days later, she gets Odyssey Sims with the same move, and I was in attendance.
In the city. She did it in the city. That one, I was like, oh, it ain't funny
Yeah,
anymore. You got to chill out. You can't do that in the city.
I was in attendance at the game. I was watching it like as it happened, and I was like, man, not my girl Odyssey, because Odyssey's a favorite of mine. She used to play for LA. She, I've always liked her, and I still respect her a lot as a player. So I didn't meme her, but when she crossed over Sue, I mean the mess out of it. I put Simba on it. I put her on the crate challenge. I put the life alert. I've fallen. I can't get up sound effect over it. Like she caught the heat, mostly because of what happened the first time.
For sure, for sure. But that's interesting though. I didn't know about that entire first cross against LA earlier in the season. So that's kind of just hilarious that there was that build up to it. It's kind of like on the NBA side with John Collins and putting the Joel Embiid shirts out and everything like that, because Joel Embiid dunked on him and then posted it and was like, "Oh, you'll never dunk on me," and blah 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 on Instagram. And then 2 years later, he dunks on him in the playoffs and they win the series and he wears the shirt. It's the same
Yeah,
premise, I guess. So it's
yeah.
nice to get that background information. It's always good when you have. Oh, that's another thing. When I bring people on, I always bring people who know more about me in a particular subject. So with Joel, I bring Joel on because Joel knows more about UConn basketball and the history of women's college basketball than I do. I bring Terrell on because Terrell knows more about the history of South Carolina basketball than I do. I bring whoever the heck. So I'm bringing on Bailey because not only does he know more about the W than I do, he knows more about the LA Sparks than I do. And that is why I brought him on. And to have that type of background is the value that he brings. So I guess just moving on to it with the Sparks, man, what is just the overall kind of reaction to the season?
The season was a tough one for a lot of different reasons. Most notably, across Nneka and Shanae, Krista Tolliver, Jasmine Walker, and Maria Vadiva, who never came over from overseas, they missed 115 out of 160 possible games, which is really, really rough. That's like the most notable storyline, I would think. And then you're coming off a year where you lose Candace Parker, you lose Chelsea Gray. And so that's not really what you need for a team looking to kind of rebuild around a newer core, some newer pieces, trying to fit them in. And on top of that, I've never been a fan of his since we had hired him and now they promoted him. But Derek Fisher is still not out of the woods for me. I got into the media sessions this year and I never asked anything disrespectful. I tried, I kind of pressured him a few times maybe, but he gave a lot of good answers and he seems to be really, what's the word, intellectual. He thinks about it a lot, but at the same time, what he does on the court and some of the decisions he makes, I think I don't think they should have promoted him. And again, I've been strongly anti-Fisher since we hired him, and I think that's another storyline is how he'll go this offseason, both from a GM and a head coach perspective. One of the first questions he got after the game was, how would GM Derek Fisher rate head coach Derek Fisher? And he didn't really have an answer at the time. And so I'm hoping maybe in his exit interviews next week, we'll revisit that because I think that's a really good question. And he said, I need a little time for that straight after the game. That's fair, but I'm hoping the guy that asked that revisits that. But some other notable stat lines about the Sparks would be the third best defense with the worst offense. It was like a 97.6 defensive rating and a 92.3 offensive rating. And that was led by Brittany Sykes, who I'll touch on a little while later. Yeah, Slim. I'll touch on her a little bit later. But you've got your leader, Nneka Ogwumike, had the longest absence of her career. Going into the break, she missed, I can't remember the exact number of games going in, but then, of course, the Olympic break, not making the Olympic team. It was just a very rough year for her. She's talked about that pretty extensively and how that has adjusted her view of the game.
I like to be named the top 25 player of all time in my league in the off year. Oh, it was a bad year. Just named top 25 player of all time in the league. Yeah.
And the
I
thing
like
about
that
it
to be
is,
my off years. And to be in Space Jam. I'm like, hey, that sounds like a
exactly.
good off year to me, hey.
Hey, she put 60 on Bron's head in one possession. We cannot let that go unsaid. She put 60 on Bron's head, literally on his, I'm talking bouncing the ball off his head. You saw the movie. But she averaged 14.5 points and 6.5 rebounds on 53%, which is her normal kind of production. A few fewer rebounds, kind of working back from the knee injury. I would say a slight dip in efficiency and a few fewer points. But again, she was coming back. But she never let that get a hold, to her mental, and she was always engaged and leading the team. And it was especially interesting because in the 13 games post break, she only shot 25 free throws, which was kind of another ongoing storyline, was how the Sparks were officiated both from NECA's perspective and as a whole. I can't remember a game where it seemed, and obviously officiating is kind of subjective, but it never really seemed like they were getting a fair share. And down the stretch of the Wings game in the last 2 minutes or so, there were some really, really suspect calls. So that kind of came to play. But Erica Wheeler, as we mentioned, her first year fit in great, averaged 13, 14 points roughly, 5 assists, shot 36% from deep, which was huge for her. And she was fifth in the league in clutch points. She really turned it on when the time was important, when it mattered the most, and came through big for us. And then another bright spot that I am a super fan of, I want them to throw her a lifetime deal for however much she asked for. Nia Coffey.
Oh, Nia, I knew. I was like, the
Yeah,
Atlanta Dream, great. Nia
yeah,
Coffee.
Nia Coffey. I knew a little bit about her before we signed her, but not a whole lot.
Well,
And
question, Bailey,
yeah,
before you continue. So with the Nia Coffee, that was one of the things that stood out to me about that LA Sparks game is, right after the Odyssey Sim shake was the Courtney Williams shake at the end of it. She got her back. And, she did this. I didn't really like that because, you guys are losing and you guys had a losing season and just really want to see. Courtney is going to talk whether, they up by 100 or down by 100. She's going to talk. I
yeah.
ain't really like that. But, just I guess how entertaining was that? How was the crowd reaction with the Courtney cross versus the Erica cross?
Well, it was kind of what you would expect being in the home court. It's like, oh, we got him back. That's our revenge, even if we're losing, whatever. And like, of course, Court played it up. I don't know why she did the shush thing on her home court. That was a little confusing to me, and I didn't quite understand it. Maybe she was shushing the Sparks. Maybe she was shushing Nia Coffey, who was
She was
kind of
shushing
like,
Twitter because she knew Twitter was erupting with the Erica Wheeler Odyssey Sims clip.
that's true. You may be right. Maybe she was thinking outside the arena. I didn't think about it like that. But that one was really blatantly caused by a defensive miscommunication. If you watch the play, like Brittany Sykes and Nia Coffey kind of mishandled a switch and then bumped into each other. But it happens, and she got crossed. At the end of the day, she got crossed. You can't take that away from her, despite why it happened. So, yeah, she was 42% from deep, which was huge for a team that was a little short on shooting. She played a big role pre-break, kind of playing 3-4. She talked about being tired and playing a bigger role than usual throughout her career. But I do think whether it's in LA, which I would love for it to be in LA, or if she goes somewhere else, I don't think there'll ever be a doubt that Nia Coffey is worthy of one of the 144 spots, like there may have been before this. I think she really established herself both personally and to the rest of the league. So those are kind of the three players that I thought were kind of the most notable storylines of the Sparks season.
Arlela was someone who I was really high on going into the draft. I guess you having kind of like a front seat to it. How was her rookie year? And then also it's ironic because my rookie of the year going into the year was Jasmine Walker. So I guess just with Arella, how was her season and how did Taya perform as well? I know that's all over the place, mentioning Jasmine Walker in the middle of that, but yeah.
No, you're good because Jasmine Walker would have had a good chance to be rookie of the year, I think.
This class was trash.
I think this class is a long game class. And also I think that a lot of these players were drafted into unique situations and there was a lot of hesitancy. And I also think we spoke about it on our pod yesterday a little bit. I think this class was somewhat drafted on marketability over performance. I think
Oh, here we go. Here
I'm
comes
not
it.
going
All
to.
right, we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about it now, Bailey. If you come on here, you gotta talk about it. If you talk about it. So, all right, man. The obvious one, the number 4 pick.
Yeah.
Do you think I hope she's well. Disclaimer, I hope she's doing well. I hope she's
Right.
in a good space mentally. Okay, it was the shock of the draft when it happened. The season came and went, and it's still kind of one of the shocks of the draft. How are you feeling now, I guess, I want to say 1 year later, but one season later?
Well, looking back on the draft, you've got the number 4 pick going to Indiana. And respectfully, Indiana was not predicted to be anything good. They weren't anything good. They had some hot moments to kind of look forward to, but their roster construction was weird. It seemed like Tamika Catchings wanted more than she would have been able to get, even at a great, like at the peak of their performances. And so they take Kaiser number 4, and she was predicted to be drafted, but it was like a late second round pick. So that was, if even early third, if I recall, like it depended on who you looked at, but it was not first round at all. And so they draft her, and everybody's like, huh? And then literally, like by the end of the draft, Adidas had already announced the marketing campaign and the deal, and everybody's sitting here like, she hasn't even played a minute yet.
She went viral about 3 times that night.
Yeah, and then doesn't play, even in Indiana. Like didn't get a whole lot of minutes. And a lot of the rookies, for me, I viewed the break as almost like a start of their second season or their first off-season type thing. So I thought maybe coming back, she'll be a little more established, a little more steady. I think that's what happened to Arella before we transition back to her. But yeah, so then 5 games or so out of the break, they're like, she's away from the team, personal reasons, for an indefinite time period. And everybody's like, okay, well, I hope, like you said, I hope she's well. She wasn't really playing much, but it's just kind of weird to use a number 4 pick and it go that way. And if we want to talk about the Wings, they drafted 3 of the top 5, and they could barely see the floor, like on a team that ended up sneaking into the playoffs and was probably good enough even if they played them more. But now they're kind of stuck being such a young team, and now they have this playoff kind of taste. But should that be their trajectory going forward? Should they push for the playoffs next year? I thought they should have worked on development, especially for someone like Charlie, who has pretty blatant flaws, pretty obvious flaws. Awak is oozing with potential every time she touches the court. And then Chelsea Dunn just didn't play. Just didn't play. Like even in the worst night, she was only getting like 3 minutes. So what are they doing? So there was a lot of questionable moves. Most notably, another one was Dana Evans slipping out of the first round. I do think if because Chicago ended up trading for her when they could have just drafted her. And I feel like if she would have got drafted Chicago off the jump, that would have been a rookie of the year. But I digress on that. And then obviously Arella.
Hold on, who Dana was traded for and got cut, Shyla Hill.
Yes.
So like she's just cut, like she's just out of a job, like
essentially. And I remember her dad tweeting about, you move over to a new country, you're 19 years old, you get drafted to a team, and like less than a month later, you're having to move to another city, and then you're not even getting on the team anymore. So they have to he was talking about her struggles, and that's unfortunately a very harsh reality that happens in the W that may not have happened in, even in the W in 5 years, it may not happen, but in this year it happened. So, but yeah, and then Arella she was projected 4th or 5th, top 5, and went 22nd. That was kind of the opposite sleeper.
Did you get the Airy pick? I didn't get it at all. And then they signed Odyssey, which was like both of those were back-to-back head scratchers for me.
The dream offseason was full of a lot of names that didn't really fit. They had a lot of guards, and then they had a lot of personalities. Courtney Williams has a history. She didn't, kind of go crazy. She likes to talk. She can be a little fiery. And then you bring all these players in that also have, I don't want to say like disciplinary issues, but just I don't know, emotional. Like they just have a lot. They just speak with their brain, I guess, is what I'm trying to get at. I don't want to disrespect anyone. That's not what I'm trying to do. It's just kind of hard to talk about. People may take it the wrong way. But then, yeah, Ari was obviously the most talented player available, I think, at that spot. She's a very good guard, very well-rounded guard, and I think she'll be in the league for a long time. And I think she could have been a starter once everything settled in Atlanta how it went. And I also think if she would have had regular opportunities, she would have been Rookie of the Year. And I think on a minute production base, you could make a case for her. But that's not going to happen because that's not how anybody views things. But the pick both made and didn't make sense, kind of like you said, because of their roster construction being so guard heavy. But then again, like you said, she was best available. And I think long term, potentially, depending on what direction they go, in 2 years, the starting backcourt, hypothetically, of Aaron McDonald and Kennedy Carter is a very competitive, very good starting duo. And then if you maybe have Tiffany Hayes on the wing, like that's a good three.
Yeah. With Shakira Austin in the middle. I'm still pushing my agenda. Shakira Austin in the middle.
Hey,
We'll see who they put in the middle. Do you think I'm going all over? Do you think Melissa Smith can play the 5?
from what I know about her, and I will go ahead and say my college is a little more limited than the W, I do not think she could play a lot of 5.
I mean, that's kind of what I'm thinking on the surface level. But I have Angel. Shout out to Angel. She's 6'2". She's like, she's 6'2". Maybe she could play 5. But I'm looking at Shakira. Shakira's like the one, like hands down, she's a 5. Talented prospect at that position. So I say go Shakira Austin. But a lot of people are saying Shakira Austin's got that personality too. Transferring from Maryland and stuff, and things didn't work out over there. It's kind of like a little dramatic kind of exit, but I don't know, man. From her perspective, she's like I'm kind of siding with her just because it's like, I feel like if she says this was the case, it wasn't a healthy situation for me, I'm gonna trust Shakira. So I don't know. I might just be a little biased, just leaning to her side because that's my McDonald's class.
Well, sometimes players get a bad rep for standing for themselves. That just kind of is what it is. Doing what is best for them usually gets a lot of judgment, and we've seen that both in professional leagues and college leagues, whether it be transfer or sitting out a year, whatever it is. At the end of the day, the athletes are people too. You hear that a lot. It's kind of cliche, but that's a fact. And so if they have to take a year, take a week, take a month, whatever it may be, to get their mind, body, rhythm right, whatever it may be, like that's a part of life. That's a part of sports. And people get judgmental when that happens and give people bad reps that may not always be there. Like, it just happens, and it's unfair to a lot of these athletes and usually makes things worse. But
For
then
sure. And
to,
Taya, I'm letting you get to Taya
I was
because
gonna say we can
Arella,
pivot back.
we're gonna skip over Arella and Jasmine. We already touched on them. So now Taya, before we get into the playoffs.
I do want to touch on Arella real quick, just kind of briefly. She really came on throughout the year. Every time I saw her play, I saw something that showed that tantalizing potential as a two-way, two-guard, potential 3. She's like 6 foot tall, so I think she could play a 2 or 3 depending on who we're against. Can create her own shot when needed. Her defense was good for a rookie in my book. Could work on maybe being an offense initiator. I think it's something that could be an interesting look going forward. And when given an opportunity, though, I don't remember having any of those moments where, like, oh, yeah, she's a rookie. I don't remember any of those. Nothing so bad, like, oh, she's got completely lost. Like, no, she was really sound, seemed to do a lot of learning and paying attention to what was going on. She had some good vets on the team, too, to help her with that, and especially, like, learning defense from Brittany Sykes. That's always going to be good. But then to pivot over to Taya started off the year not great. I remember tweeting, like, did Taya Cooper forget how to play basketball? That's an actual tweet. It's on my timeline. I don't delete things unless someone maybe takes them the wrong way, which happens sometimes. But I did not delete that. And then she turned it on maybe 10, 12 games in, a little bit before the break, started getting some momentum. Came out post-break and just looked phenomenal. Looked all under control. She was also a really great defensive guard that I don't think gets a lot of credit, but she also looked like she was more under control using her athleticism and strength over smaller guards. And she has the best scoop layup of any person I've ever seen. She can hit it right-handed, left-handed, through contact, through a contest. Doesn't matter who's down there. If you let her get coming from the hip and scoop it, she's going to hit it high off the glass. It's going to fall in. I mean, I don't know how she does it. It's phenomenal to watch. It's kind of like a trademark offensive thing for her, which I think was big because she's not the best shooter yet, still kind of shaky on that end, and shot creation is limited because of that. But when she can get downhill and use her strength and quickness against another guard, she's a good finisher.
Okay, all right. Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate that on the Sparks report. Those are just a few of the players like on the Sparks that I always kind of like watch out for from afar. So it's nice getting that in-depth report. And
Of
then
course.
now, without further ado, the reason why you're here, we got the bracket, man. We got the bracket.
The bracket.
Oh my gosh.
I love it. I love it.
Oh man. First things first. Oh, first things first. The entire talk. Where are you on the debate of change the format?
So I'm a huge fan of single elim. Some people aren't. I love it. I think it's unique. I think it sets a good tone for the playoffs. I think it really goes to show, like, you got to come ready. You got to stay ready. That said, if they decided to make the second round a 3-game series, I wouldn't be mad at that. I would fully understand, because I also do understand the complaints and the issues against the single elim. But in terms of the W being its own league and growing and trying to, stand alone more, because a lot of people still prop it with the NBA really tightly or whatever they may do with that. I think having something different is good. And I think that single elim, that sort of March Madness style, is good. And I understand, again, the issues with it for 2 rounds, but I think for the first round, I love it. I think it creates a lot of action that you don't get in other leagues. And I think they should keep it around. But if they go second round best of 3 and then go 5-5, I wouldn't mind that. But the single elim, I think, is something that shouldn't be completely eliminated.
Okay, I feel that. So like a first 4 in, like the first 4 tournament in the NCAA now.
Yeah, something like that.
I'll rock with that. I can rock with that. Me personally, I like the cut down the playoffs. I don't want Dallas in the playoffs.
So
them
take top
jokers
6
after the season they had. When Vicky Johnson had them jokers running the laps outside on the court like they was in JV high school, I'm like, they don't deserve to be in the playoffs.
Yeah,
Top 6. Give me 6, and give me 5, or you can even do 7. Because look, someone's like, oh, what you gonna do by the time? Look, in the season, right? First week of September, right? The NBA playoffs is 2 weeks. 7, 7, 7, 7, right? 2 weeks. The 7-game series is 2 weeks. You do that all the way down, that leads you to the end of October.
Right.
I don't know, but I'm just kind of abstracting that thinking. Go ahead, you can respond.
I was gonna say, if they took the top 6, you could go. So you'd have 3 rounds?
Yeah.
You could go like 5-5-7.
Okay, 5-5-7. Yeah, I like that. Give me a 7-game series in the finals.
Yeah, something like that. It would be interesting. But in terms of Dallas and New York being in the playoffs, like, we had a pretty interesting discussion on our pod, and my guy Corey went on this rant. I actually put it over the ether beat because he was ranting that hard about how the Dallas Wings are not a good team, but they're a playoff team because of the size of the W and bringing in those 8 teams. And he was talking about how, if you look at the standings top to bottom, there are 4 good teams, 5 maybe.
I think wait, hold on. I think I heard this rant.
They have, because like I said, I put it.
I think I heard this rant. Did you clip it and put it on the timeline?
Yes.
I heard this rant.
I put it over the ether beat.
I was like, you said you put it over the ether beat, and it was like maybe 4 good teams. I was like, I heard this. Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah,
man, I didn't even realize. It's subconsciously scrolling. We're zombies when we look at our phones. Anyway, but I think it's not 4. Chicago's good, man.
They have the talent on paper.
They have the talent on paper. Like, Diamond the Shields had a bad season. Okay.
So in my eyes, there are, I would say, 4, 3.5.
So you don't think Phoenix is good?
Well, I was gonna say there's 4 contenders. I have Phoenix and Chicago as my mid-tier. So they would fall into the good category, but in terms of great, I guess, is where I would classify. But yes, Phoenix, I think Phoenix is more of a contender than Seattle, because Seattle just looked kind of miserable as of late.
Yeah.
And then of course, if Stewie's not 100%, they could be out pretty quickly. I don't think they lose this single elim. Well, actually, if they face Phoenix, they may lose the single elim. But yeah, they're kind of lower than where they have been before.
Dang,
they're mortal.
Seattle.
They're mortal this year. It's been a while.
I definitely agree with that. Losing Clark and who else did they lose? They lost somebody else who was like
Natasha Howard.
Natasha Howard, yeah. Yeah, losing those two kind of key places and key rotational pieces, and then you combine if Stewie goes out and then Sue Bird goes from 82 to 83 years old, like, there's a lot of factors there and stuff. But
Their depth is okay, but I don't know
shout
how
out to
much you can
Easy
rely on it.
for
So
sure, for sure.
but let's look at this. So
And Mercedes Russell really came on this season.
she
Shout out to
did.
Mercedes Russell.
She does a lot of things very fundamentally sound. They don't pop out at you, but she's like a smart defender, a good rebounder. She's a pretty good passer for a big. Offensively a little limited, but will finish a pick and roll, finish offensive rebound. She can very fundamentally sound, and I would say a contending level, like a championship team could have her as a center and win.
I agree. I agree with that. One of those pieces that you need, like you don't want to say to one of the greats, but one of the Rebecca Brunsons. Anyways.
No, like a glue player. Like
oh yeah,
a
glue player. Yeah, glue player.
Yeah. And I would argue Rebecca Brunson was a great glue player.
Yeah. Is that in response to all the people? Why did she talk 25?
I said I didn't have her in my top 25. She's like literally at 26. I mean, I'd give it to like 26, 27, but you got to factor in the eye test at some point. 5 rings looks great. Handful of All-Stars looks great. A few defensive teams looks great. But statistically, and like she was never like taking over games. You know what I mean? Like she would make good key plays, but
I don't want 6 folks from the same team on the top 25.
There's always that as well. And they were on the team at the same time.
Right, exactly. Even more so reason. But this has been my favorite matchup of the season. I made a whole 13-minute video talking about this thing right here. And
Skylar versus Jazz Jones was one of those WNBA Twitter Monday events.
The king of New York, Skylar Diggins-Smith. The queen of New York, excuse me. The king of New York is Trae Young. But yeah. So you got Sky, she owns them. She's in their head. They have no chance. But it's gonna be entertaining. I'm gonna watch. I'm gonna watch.
It's gonna be entertaining. I actually think it's gonna be the Brittany Griner show. Even more so.
She killed them that last game too, before she got hurt.
They just don't have the size really to deal with her
and Turner.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's gonna be a kind of that more so than the Skylar Diggins-Smith show. I would love to see Skylar Diggins-Smith have a signature game. That would be really cool. But somebody asked who I think would have the most points in a playoff game this season, or they put on the timeline for everyone, but I answered it, and I think Brittany Griner in this game will have the most points of a playoff game this year.
Okay, BG. How much you think Benaja is getting? I got 27 for Benaja. I got 20 for Sad.
I'm gonna take the under on Benaja at 27, and honestly, I'll agree with you around 20 somewhere in there for Sabrina. But I'm taking the under on Benaja. Benaja has not been, even yet, in my opinion, has not been utilized to her best ability in their offensive system. I actually wrote a whole piece about it, and they still haven't quite figured that out to me, to where she's in a position to be her best self.
So you got Phoenix.
I do have Phoenix. I'll take Phoenix and Seattle in the second round.
All right. And then we got Chicago and Dallas. Chicago. Anybody who says Dallas, unsubscribe right now. Anyone who says Dallas, unsubscribe right now.
I wish it was that simple, but I actually think Dallas is going to win this game.
Oh my gosh! Oh Lord have mercy! What does Enrique getting? 100? You got Enrique shooting 1,000 shots, and she gonna score 100 points off of shooting 1,000 shots.
So we actually talked about this game pretty lengthy, and it's been a hot topic across the board. But Chicago, to me, you'll have Candace Parker, and you know Candace Parker is going to show up in the playoffs. But the next question is, who's up next? Who's up next for Chicago? They have not had that type of identity yet this year. they change from possession to possession, quarter to quarter, game to game, sometimes minute to minute. And to me, that is not great for a playoff situation, especially against a team like Dallas, who legitimately has nothing to lose. They're not expected anything. And they kind of have that level of randomness that they can kind of control, manipulate just enough to where they can come out and win at least one of these games.
He's got the upset. He's got upset central.
I do. I think Dallas will face Minnesota and then probably get handily beaten by the Lynx in Minnesota.
I got Chicago. I'm going boring.
I would love to see Chicago win. I would love to see them make a playoff push, make a run.
I want Candace to get number 2. I want Candace to get number 2, or I want Asia to get number 1.
Okay. I'm with it. Hey, I spoiler alert, pick the Aces preseason, and I'm sticking by them. So, spoiler alert, we're gonna skip ahead a little bit, but I picked them preseason, and I have no reason to bet against them other than the fact that the Connecticut Sun have turned into an absolute monster.
And then they got AT back. It's like, Joker, you want Sabonis to be back into 2023. She came back. She played hurt in the playoff. Played hurt with one shoulder in the playoff, and then I was like, bruh, and then got the surgery. Okay, you're gonna be out for a full year now. She came back. Come on, dog. AT, chill out, bro.
Have you ever seen The Bionic Woman?
No, I haven't.
So The Bionic Woman is this old TV show from like the 70s. And there was like the $6 Million Man and the Bionic Woman. And they were both like, kind of straightforward, like people who got hurt and then were like robotically repaired. So not like a cyborg, you don't see it, but like, like $6 Million Man, I remember in one episode like fought Bigfoot. And was like like throwing Bigfoot around or whatever. So like that was a thing, right? That was a show. Those were 2 shows. I actually edited the opening theme of The Bionic Woman and put Alyssa Thomas in it when they announced that she was coming back.
That's her.
Because literally, like, I'm convinced that she's made of vibranium. She spent time in Wakanda. I don't know what to make of that. And the fact that she came back and in game 1 didn't play with any hesitation, any type of limp, was playing her own normal game, which is a highly mobile game style. Like, I mean, and you come back right to the playoffs. Very different. Less than 9 months after the injury, 8 months even.
Yeah.
So
and then it's driving, like you said, aggressively. Like she's still playing the same way. She's still getting to the line. Like I was watching the Dream game, obviously. I don't know why I did that to myself before watching the Falcons game, but and she's like still playing aggressively. Game? And
so you watched the Dream game before the
back to back.
My guy. Yeah. I'm so sorry.
But AT is driving to the lane, still getting to the line and everything. I'm like, yo, she's playing very aggressively. Like, you jump back into it, no hesitancy. Like, still playing her game. It's crazy. But yeah, all right. So, anyways, I got Phoenix, Chicago. So, all right, here you go. You got Minnesota. You got Minnesota beating Dallas. I have
You'll have Chicago there. So do you have Minnesota beating Chicago?
I got Chicago.
Okay, so you think Chicago makes a semifinals run?
I got Chicago beating Minnesota.
So you got Chicago versus.
I feel like I'm gonna regret that because Minnesota has so many. They came together, like they figured it out this year throughout the season, and they're really good. They're really good.
And the thing about Minnesota to me is so interesting is that they're so consistent. Cheryl Reeve teams are always just. I don't know how to put it. I hate this expression, but they're well-oiled machines. They do what they do at max efficiency every night, night in, night out. And to me, I think that can overwhelm pretty much anyone ranked below them. I don't think that's enough to get them over Connecticut or Vegas, but I think 4 through 8, that wins them the Elam game against whoever they face.
I respect it. I don't know if that gets them past Phoenix.
I think it does. I don't know. I think Phoenix would have to have a lot go right. Because Phoenix plays a very slow pace. And I
Right.
think if you play a low pace against Minnesota, even though I don't know what their pace rating is, I think they can kind of fluctuate pretty well. I think you're playing into their hands at that point.
Shout out to Leisure.
Been phenomenal.
Big vet. Big vet.
You could argue most improved if you want to.
Could you say most improved for someone that old? Like, I
Yeah.
mean, all due respect, Leisure. But
She's what, like 30, I think?
yeah, but she's been good. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah. But I mean, career highs in a lot of categories, if I remember
Right. And
correctly.
then I mean, I think it's kind of like if you had a comeback player of the year story, like award, like the
Yeah.
NFL, she
Well,
definitely be.
they do have one.
Oh, okay, they do. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's definitely comeback player to get cut, and then kind of like Benaja last year. So I
Yeah.
guess that's why you're saying most improved. That's funny. Okay.
I mean, I don't think he wins any awards at the end of the season, but I think that they have a good case.
You don't think Minnesota wins any awards?
No, I just meant like
Oh,
Lakers.
okay. Yeah, I think Minnesota they win at least one award. They win. I think Cheryl Reeve is Coach of the Year.
See, I think it's either her or Kurt Miller, and I think it comes down to
Everybody's saying Kurt, but I don't want Connecticut to win Defensive Player of the Year, MVP, Coach of the Year, blah blah blah. I don't want that.
They definitely have MVP and most improved. I think those are locked.
Oh yeah. Bree got that. Shout out to Bree. Dang, Connecticut got 10 All-Stars.
You could argue that Connecticut's starting five is the first team on defense if you wanted to.
You could. Them jokers is like one big glove.
Yes.
them jokers right there. Brian January, she's in discussion for defensive player. All of them in this discussion for defensive player of the year. But okay, who you have jumping ahead a little bit? I know you're a big Slim fan. Who you have winning defensive player of the year?
I'm going with Brittany Sykes.
Shout out Slim. You can't get mad at it.
We'll dive deeper. We'll dive deeper into that when we get there. But I started the season on the Sylvie Fowles train and swapped throughout the season. So we'll get to it in a second, though.
Shout out Slim. So all right, so I got Minnesota losing right here. Go ahead.
I do not have Minnesota losing right there.
I got Minnesota. Okay, so you got Minnesota moving on. Seattle and Phoenix.
I'm taking Phoenix. Take Phoenix.
I'm gonna have to go Seattle.
I'll take it one step further. I'm taking Phoenix, even if Stewie is back.
Ooh.
That's just what I feel. That's just what my instincts tell me.
I feel Katie lose due. My
boy Tariq gonna hear this and gonna go crazy. We did a WNBA draft the other day, and it's all-time players and current players. Just you can pick anybody in the league history, and my boy Tariq took Katie Lou Samuelson with his 11th pick. But for what it's worth, certain South Carolina fans can be just as bad.
Oh, South Carolina fans and the anti-UConn fans are toxic. You talk about toxicity. Them jokers, they go overboard. And then another thing, I think you even agree with this, but it was the DT thing when they said the DT thing was like the racism and laziness. I don't agree with that. I think DT, out of all the UConn players, out of all the white players that they be hyping, I think DT the one player I'm like, I see where they I see where they're coming with that. Like DT is the one white player, the one UConn player, but I'm like, I get it.
I think there's an argument for both sides there. I think I had DT third in my top 25, but I do think there's a basketball case to be made for her being first. But I do also think that some of that basketball case is amplified by her coming from UConn and her being white. I mean, I think that's a fact. I think that goes both ways. But at the end of the day, I think that's kind of inevitable in every discussion.
I can't agree with that. I can agree with it for Sue.
Definitely for Sue was 8 in ESPN.
No, that's crazy. That's crazy. And I always sound like a hater, and you gotta respect Sue Rashad, blah blah blah. You gotta stop coming for my girl Sue like that. What if someone was like Scottie Pippen's the 8th grade greatest player in NBA history? You look at them like they're crazy. Anyway, I got Seattle winning. I got Seattle beating Phoenix.
I don't.
But I
So
think
I'll have
I think
Connecticut,
Sky gonna
Phoenix.
go on a. I think Sky's gonna have a run, man. Sky's gonna have a run in these playoffs. I'm telling you. I
Yeah,
don't know if they're gonna beat Seattle, but Sky is gonna go off because she been in her bag this season, like
yes.
especially post Olympic break. She been. I'm like, dog. How are you even doing this? Shea Petty coming along. Shea Petty, where the heck you even come from, Joker? Shea Petty going off. Look, Phoenix. Hey, come on, man. All right, I'm about to talk myself into Phoenix, but I still got Seattle because I'm trusting
Well,
Seattle.
that's my biggest thing with Phoenix is how their depth performs. That's been my biggest thing with them all year. Was how does their depth perform? Even if it's not a lot of statistical production, it's just consistently bringing energy and just not getting run off the floor. And they've done that in the past 12 games or so, where top to bottom, they've been a little more well-rounded. Whether it's Sophie Cunningham coming in, giving you 8 or 9 points and just hustling, because that's what she's going to do. Like you mentioned, Shea Petty's been phenomenal. Kia Vaughn has been pretty steady for them.
She's finally getting it going and stuff like. Oh no, I'm thinking Nurse. My bad.
Well, Kia Nurse as well, though. She's very important for them in that regard, too. And while I still think her season's been a little bit less than what they expected, she's got it going when they needed it most. So
I agree. But I got Seattle winning that one. You got Phoenix winning, and you got Minnesota advancing to the semifinals.
yeah,
So
so I'll have Vegas and Minnesota and Connecticut, Phoenix. You'll have Connecticut, Chicago, Vegas, Seattle.
okay, Connecticut, Chicago, Vegas, Seattle. I'm not gonna remember that, by the way, when we get to it.
Well, then go now.
All right. Connecticut, Chicago.
Yeah.
Oh, Connecticut, get out here. Bye, Candace. I'm sorry.
And they're gonna be rested, Connecticut too.
Yeah. That's over with. Yeah, Candace is 80 years old. All due respect. Vegas versus Seattle. Oh, this the rematch. Asia. I think Asia gets it.
Yeah.
Oh, dang. I did all that just to do 1-2. Come on,
See, that's
Rashad.
the thing. I think that's where we end up as well.
1-2. Okay, well.
Yeah, that's where I end up as well. I've stuck with the Aces all year. I don't see them realistically losing to anyone below them. I think the only team that could realistically end them in a series is the Sun, who are above them. And I would have them facing the Mercury. No, I would have them facing the Lynx. I'm sorry. And those have been some pretty good matchups.
Minnesota, yeah.
Yeah, those have been some pretty good matchups throughout the year. Two deeper teams, in my opinion, but I'm still taking the Aces. I think they have a little bit more oomph about them. I don't know how to describe it, but you see it when you watch. It's a big eye test thing. Just kind of that level of swagger and that chemistry and that camaraderie. And of course, they're going to be motivated. Like you said, they, last year went to the finals and didn't quite pull it out. So
Got embarrassed, and then the UConn fans telling me about how Asia Wilson ain't Asia Wilson. Okay, all right.
she has only 3 moves.
Oh my gosh, it's ridiculous, and it's like, and that's why I like Luke, because Luke can dribble the ball, and Asia can, and Luke can shoot a 3 ball, and Asia can. All right, bro. It's like, and then I'm like, well, what about Tim Duncan? Tim Duncan's great, the greatest power forward of all. So why is Asia Wilson not that good? Yeah,
Right.
Anyways.
And my thing is, if only having 3, if your argument against Asa Wilson, she only has 3 moves, and if only having 3 moves can win you an MVP and carry a team to the finals, why would you need a 4th and 5th move?
Let them know. Say it again.
I mean, it's that simple. Like you're handing me the logic to do your logic.
MVP. We talking about the MVP. Anyways, the finals. You got the Aces winning. How many games you have the Aces winning?
I think this series goes 5 regardless of who wins. I think both teams
agreed.
are that talented.
Agreed.
And I think it could be one of the better finals ever. If 1 and 2 meet, I think this could be one of the best finals in W history.
That Connecticut Washington final. That was a good
that
final.
Was a good final.
That was a good final.
That was a good one.
That was a good one. That was just a couple of years ago. I like that one. I think this could be another one of them.
That was kind of the world's introduction, I think, to Jonquel Jones too.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because she did her thing that series. She did her thing that series, and of course, and the storyline you talk about Alyssa Thomas. Elena Deladon playing with herniated discs. Have you ever known anyone that had a herniated disc? Have you ever had one yourself?
No, I have not, and I do not wish to.
So my father had a herniated disc, and like he couldn't get out of the bed. Like I'm talking, like he came home, sat on his bed, and couldn't move. And she had 3 of them jumpers, and played professional basketball at a high level.
ADD is different. She's different, and she was the best player in the world at the time too.
Right.
Salute to Stewie. But at the time, Elena dealt that 2 week span. It's like Dirk in 2011. Dirk was the best player in the world in 2 weeks.
I mean, I would argue if you get them both healthy and everything's flowing normally, EDD is the best player regardless of who else is around.
Oh, you must be anti-UConn.
No. I 50, 40, 90, moving like a guard at 6'5", playing great defense, able to do everything. Did you see the first shot she made this year?
Yeah.
That's a tough shot to come back from almost 2 years and casually do it like it's nothing. Like,
shout out EDD.
And I think she is one of the, and of course she has time to change this, but I still think she'll go down as one of the what ifs, unfortunately.
For sure.
And I think to an extent, I think Candace is in that too, but we're not going to talk about that.
Man, I wish Candace could get 2, man.
I do too. I would love to see Candace get another one. ESPNW dropped their like statistical top 25 today, and she was second.
Wow. Oh, and Tamika Catchings was 1?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. So I think, unfortunately for Candace, she has dealt with a lot of injuries, though.
Yeah. CP, man. I need CP3 to get 3 rings. CP3 get 3 rings just for the name and for the brand. You got to do it. And to get up in that all-time discussion. Because you top 5. You need to be top 5. Win you a couple more rings. Get you top 5 hands down.
I think I had her 8th or 9th in my top 25 overall.
I hear that.
I was a little higher on her than a lot, though.
I know. People be disrespecting CP because of 1 chip. I'd be like, yo, come on now. One of the greatest talents the game has seen, and BG.
And I was going to say, if you look at Candace's like postseason record, I'm pretty sure there were 3 consecutive years, maybe just 2. But I know for a handful of years in LA, they lost by 1 point in the postseason. Like, it's literally a flip of a coin. Like, 1 shot goes different, 1 extra free throw, whatever it may be, and you're looking at a completely different thing. I'm pretty sure they were both to the Mercury when they were at their peak of their powers. So it's not a bad loss by any means. But, we're sitting here talking about what ifs, and there are people that have solidified cases of performance and roster or resumes, whatever it may be. So
I hear that. I'm going to go. My heart wants to pick Vegas because not only about Asia, I want Asia to get her first, yes, for sure. But also, De'Erica's from, Marietta. Went to high school with her for a couple of years. So I'm going to be rooting for her, just naturally.
Yeah. I definitely understand that.
I'm going to go.
Connecticut in 5. I'll say it for you.
I gotta go Vegas. I gotta go Vegas.
My guy.
I gotta go Vegas. Asia Wilson gets the first ring this year.
Hey.
De'Erica Hamby gets the first ring this year and brings it back to the May.
I love it. Let's do it. I'm all for it. Although in this finals, if it's 1 and 2, I will not be mad at whoever wins. I like both of those teams a lot.
Yeah. Well, I'm rocking with those as well. With both of those as well. Okay, so we already talked a lot about the GOAT. So I guess to wrap up, season awards. Let's go down the list. MVP.
It's Jonquel Jones.
Jonquel Jones. There's no argument from me.
Real quick though, who's your GOAT?
My GOAT?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one.
We won't go deeper than just saying who it is, but who's your GOAT?
I'll be wanting to say Coop because so many people say Coop, but I don't know. I was like, 2 years old when that was going on, you know. So
I feel you. I feel
I ain't
you.
gonna be like, yeah, I watched Coop. Yeah, yeah, Coop was bad. Uh, um, I guess
That's who mine is, by the way.
from the people I've seen, I got to go DT from the people I've
Okay.
seen.
Okay.
But CP is up there too, like in there. Like she's probably in my top. She's higher than on my list and a lot of people's list. I also
Because
have
we've seen her.
yeah, I've seen her from high school, and what I've seen from her, that was something different.
Yeah, she was
Crazy.
very different.
I'm talking about beat J.R. Smith in the dunk contest. I always go back to that. That's my first impression. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just she's different. You know, Maya Moore's somewhere in the top 5. She's the best high school player I've ever seen
Yeah.
live.
Yeah.
Who else is up there?
Catch.
Yeah. Catch. Just the fact that she's the best offensive player of all time. She was pretty good offensively too. Like some people won't say it, but like she was serviceable. You know what I'm saying?
She
Good
was no
enough to be one
slouch.
of the greatest. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What was that? 4? That's about 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, about 4 people, and then Coop. I say Coop because everybody else says Coop is GOAT, so I'll just run with them.
So for me, it's Coop. That's my GOAT. Catch.
Okay.
The third spot is kind of difficult, but I go DT.
Mm-hmm.
Then I have Maya. And then fifth, if I recall correctly, in my list was either Lisa Leslie or Cheryl Swoops.
Okay, you can't get mad at that.
Was
You
one
can't
of
get
them.
mad at that.
I can't remember which one. Those were 5 and 6. I just don't remember which order I had them in.
Right. Okay, you can't get mad at that.
But anyways, back to the season awards. Do you have any disagreement with Jonquel for MVP?
No disagreement here. No disagreement. Defensive Player of the Year.
I'm going with Brittany Sykes.
I'm not mad at Sykes.
I know a lot of people are going Sill. Some people are talking Jonquel. But I think if you look at Brittany Sykes' impact and some of the advanced stats, and just consider that she's doing those things as a 5'9" guard.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I don't think there's much debate. Well, I'm not saying there's much debate, but in terms of just how impressive that is,
right?
You can't say that's not impressive. I mean, she's tied in steals per game.
Yeah.
First in total steals. First in the entire W in all positions included in on-court defensive impact and defensive rating per pivot analysis. They endorsed her. And if you compare her directly to some of the other ones, the Sparks have been sending propaganda like crazy. But just like
I've been seeing that too on socials too.
Yeah, they do a lot about it, but that is kind of some other notable stats. Like Jonquel leads the league in defensive rating, but if you do like her net defensive impact, she's third. The only other player that is first on their team in net defensive impact is Bree Turner.
Shout out to Bree.
But they're like a 7 defense overall. Phoenix and Minnesota have better defensive ratings when BG and Sill sit, which is really weird, but it's a thing. So I see it as I think really the record will keep her out of winning it, but I do think she has a pretty case for it. I've seen her catch a few votes too, though.
I'm going Slim. I'm going Slim as well. And if you guys are like, oh, he's agreeing with I literally did this like Sunday or whatever. You can go back 2, 3, 4 videos and look, and I'm saying the exact same names.
Real.
Yeah, I was. Most improved, Bree Jones. I said this in the video. I know we talked about this earlier. Believe me, take my word for it. I said it, Bree Jones.
Not close again. She really separated herself from the field. I think the most impactful improvement of Bree Jones was more not even something that shows up on the stat sheet. She's got the stats to match it, but her mobility while keeping that strength and being able to defend better in the perimeter, pick and rolls, hedging, all those things. That's something that always stuck out to me when I watched her play. Just her improvements from her like body and her just movements and her physicals, on top of the statistical improvements, the double doubles. Just seems like she'd get a double double with her eyes closed. Holding down the 5 spot, despite being smaller than Jonquel, she's just an immovable force, incredibly strong, just night in, night out, very quiet, just goes out and hoops, very sound.
Easy breezy cover girl.
Yeah, and it's literally it. She just does everything that you want a center to do.
No disagreement from me right there. What's next? What's next?
Rookie of the year.
Coach of the year? January, by default, like they said, like Michelle Vogel said, like by default, the class was trash. All due respect to the class was trash. You guys are trash. Ari was all right at the end of the season. Dee is all right when she got the chance. Dana Evans really came on really late. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, she got traded, got her chance to shine, and she shined. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I think it's also, okay, I'll be fair. A lot of rookies were just placed in bad situations this year.
There was a lot of weird situations.
Yeah.
And even if you look down the stretch when Natasha Howard came back, Michaela's role changed. And that might have been a more accurate reflection of what would have been if Natasha Howard had been healthy from the jump. I also think if you give them all the same minutes, I think Dana and Ari were right there with her. Like if you look on the production and everything, they'd be right there with her. But yeah, it's kind of Michaela, like you said, by default. Not saying she didn't earn it. She had to show up and play. She played well, but there was a lot of things that benefited her.
Class of 2021, prove yourselves.
Yeah.
But anyways, moving on. Coach of the year. I got like I said earlier, I got Cheryl Reeve. It's not even close for me. Well, it is close, but I don't want Connecticut to get everything, so I got Cheryl Reeve.
Yeah, I think this one comes down to a matter of preference. But I sided with Kurt Miller. I think
look at the talent that Kurt had versus like Minnesota. They started the year 0-4 or whatever the heck they were, 2-9, and they flipped it and became the third seed. Like
yeah, there's a lot to be said for that. I'm not taking away from that. She's definitely right there with them. I think they're the only two, in my opinion, that are really vote worthy this year. But I sided with Kurt Miller because there's something to be said about managing all that talent. Kind of the opposite of Cheryl Reeve. And I think that's really hard to do, especially when you have players that are so talented across the board and getting the most out of them and not having any type of clashes. It definitely helps him that like there's like 4 players dating on his team.
I was about to say that, yeah, they're in love.
Yeah. I mean, that's all. That's not something that we can not acknowledge because I think that's actually really important for their finals run. I think it's a very interesting, very fun subplot. But I don't know. There's just, and then to have such a great defense from top to bottom, they only give up 70 points a game, which is like far and away the best defensive unit. And getting top to bottom talent to do that and lock into a system. And he's a good X's and O's coach as well, which is really important to me. I think it's his. But again, if Cheryl Reeve comes out and wins it, I'm not going to be mad because I think she's got a very strong case as well. I don't know if they do like executive of the year, but I think she should win executive of the year if they do because she's also the coach. She made all those moves like you mentioned and kind of navigated a rough year and got the best out of her team through a variety of methods.
Agreed. And I guess now moving on to so you're not giving the executive of the year. I gotta tell the joke. To James Wade. But all right, so you're moving on now.
I might would give it to Derek Fisher before I give it to James
Wade. Fish. All right, man. Dang it. First team. All right, I got Sky. I guess I'm gonna go Enrique. This is just off top now.
Off the dome.
Three forwards. Jonquel, Seal. I'm gonna go Asia.
This is a fun one. I went Asia, Jonquel, Skylar, just like you. And then I went Jewel Lloyd and Brittany Griner.
Oh.
Those were my first team.
Oh.
Then for my,
Run that back again from the top.
I started at the center. I went with BG.
Mm-hmm.
Went with Asia and Jonquil as the
Mm-hmm.
forwards, and I took Skylar and Jewel Lloyd.
Okay. Oh yeah. So Joel over Enrique. Not mad at it.
Yeah, I
Not
actually
mad at it at all.
on our show that dropped today, I actually went with Enrique on my second team, but I was a little scrambled, didn't quite do all the research I needed to do, and I actually don't have her on either now.
Oh Lord, have mercy. I mean, hey, like anybody who says anything against Enrique, I'm not gonna argue because she take a billion shots a game. All due respect.
She's a very, very polarizing player to build around.
I never got to see the water clip, like when she actually spilled. I just see the after clip because I wanted to like react to that or address it, but I never got to see the like actual.
Yeah, she did it. It was on camera, and they caught it 4K.
Shout out to Enrique. Dang, so who you got second team then? On your guards, your two guards.
I went with Sloot. She had kind of a weaker case than normal, but I went with her. The second guard was really hard to decide. It was actually exceptionally difficult to decide because I thought about Benaj Laney, who really kind of fell off down the stretch, but yeah. I don't really consider her fault. I think a lot of it comes from the weaknesses of the Liberty and their system. I thought about like Kelsey Mitchell, who
oh my god
had a phenomenal season.
Both the Mitchells,
you know,
on the worst team, but both the Mitchells, don't get it twisted. Both the Mitchells, y'all like that.
They buckets. Kelsey was a big bucket. I thought about Tip Hayes and her comeback. You know, these are all people I was looking at and considering, right? This is what I thought.
All due respect, Tip.
Thought about Ariel Atkins.
Okay, Ariel. Yeah. Okay, Ariel.
But I actually ended up siding with my guy Corey. He chose, and I think this was a good choice. He chose Courtney Williams.
No, I mean, all due respect, I hate saying no so quickly to sound disrespectful. I apologize, Court. You a dog. You play hard. You love the game.
I think she had exceptional two-way play. Was very consistent for the Dream, and even though they didn't win a lot, there was a lot going on. First time All-Star. I thought she
salute. First time All-Star, great season, Court. I mean, depends on. I see. I ain't trying to get in trouble. You're gonna get me in trouble, Bailey.
It won't be the official vote at all. She won't win the official vote. But if I had a vote, I think I'd vote for her. He talked me into it.
She's another checker. I look at these.
She's more consistent than
Enrique. Yeah. That's a good point.
Like not even close. Like it's pretty noticeable.
Enrique come out and check and get 8 points.
It's funny though.
And get 28, 30 next night. Go ahead.
Yesterday on our pod, Akil brought up a point that I think you might like. Enrique, when she takes more than 5 dribbles, shoots 27%. When she takes less than 5 dribbles, she shoots 50%.
Wow.
So, do with that what you will. But I just thought you might want to know that.
You calling Enrique Gumawale, Enrique Corver?
No, I'm saying Enrique is incredibly talented, but the Dallas Wings need to figure out how they're going to utilize her. She's very talented, one of the best scorers in the league. That's undeniable, in my opinion.
Yeah. But
that kind of gives very solid evidence that there's ways it could be made more efficient and more impactful to winning.
Let Todd bring it up. When you got Marina and Enrique on the floor, both of them jokers gonna shoot. I don't know how that's gonna work. I don't know if that's winning basketball.
I think Marina's a better initiator than Enrique is.
Oh yeah, I agree with that.
I think you could run them both and let Marina take that lead guard if they need to. It's
Okay.
not necessarily a great defensive lineup, but I think she could set up Enrique better than Enrique could set up Marina, if that's how we're looking at it.
Who do the over the head pass?
Which one?
The one against the Sparks, against y'all.
I don't remember.
But you remember the play, right? Who got the steal? It was Alicia got the steal. She threw it up. And I think it was to Enrique. Enrique against the Sparks, final game of the season.
Yeah,
Enrique went behind the head to Marina.
that's
And they're
right.
like, it's that
That's
Notre
right.
Dame connection. We've been playing
Yeah.
longer than anybody else on this team. Blah, 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 blah.
Well, I think it was so interesting because the commentator was like, not enough has been made about Enrique's passing ability. I'm like, I wonder why. And then on Twitter, like I'm on Twitter during the game and I see all these Wings fans talking about, yeah, like Enrique's moving the ball really well, like passing, making good. She had 3 assists. She had 3 assists. Like that's kind of where the bar is at for her. And coming into the year, when we talked about preseason predictions, I was like, I need to see better playmaking from her specifically. And so, I mean, you could put her on all W second if you wanted to. I'm not tripping. I don't think she's all W first though.
I'll probably put Benija in.
She, again, I think more of her struggles were on her team than her.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's kind of tough to gauge, but
I'll put Benija in. And then Sloot is so consistent.
yeah, she only scored like 11 points a night, but led the league in
That's what
assists.
Sue Bird's done her whole career, and she's like number 8 in all-time ranking. So
You got a good point. I also think Chelsea Gray is someone that may.
Oh, the point guard. What the heck am I talking about? Sloot. Kick Sloot off. We put it on Chelsea Gray, Benija Laney.
So yeah.
But nah, Erica Wheeler is the crossover queen. It's not, Asia tried to say, no, Chelsea is the snatch. No, Asia. No. It's Wheeler, bro. It's Wheeler.
Chelsea got a quick cross, but it's not the type of cross that's gonna break ankles and have people
in the
fall
same
like
spot.
that.
She's doing the same move.
Yeah.
In the same spot.
Like if they were to ever hypothetically make WNBA Street, Erica Wheeler is who you want on the front of that cover.
Shout out E Will. But all right, we'll wrap it up. Bailey, let the people know where they can find you, where they can find your work. Shout out your pod, all that good stuff.
Yeah, so I'm on Twitter. That's where I'm mostly active at. I'm actually in the running for some of those W Twitter awards. Like you mentioned earlier, I didn't expect to be, but my brand is stronger than anticipated. You can find me at Sir, that's SIR _ Richmond, like Richmond, Virginia, and then 20. That's my personal page. I'll give you a heads up. You never know what you're going to get. Just being honest here.
I respect it. I respect the honesty.
Yeah, just a disclaimer. Just a heads up. And then if you go in my bio, you'll see at the Lead SM, that's our home organization, our main page. And then within that, I do at Grizz_lead for the Grizzlies page and the WNBA lead, where I've been mostly active right now for my W stuff. That's where I'm a little more passionate. You'll get a lot more consistent coverage. Running a jersey giveaway right now. All you got to do is retweet and follow and drop a GIF of your favorite player or team. We've had a lot of good engagement off of that. Finishing that up tomorrow. I don't know when you're going to post this, but for tip-off tomorrow of the first round. We'll run some more giveaways throughout the postseason and the offseason, though, so you want to stay tuned to that. All of our content will be posted there and on theleadsm.com, including our pod, which is now on Apple, Spotify, and Podbean. Started yesterday. We started a new podcast network as a whole website, so you can find us on there under
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's a very big deal. We had been recording on Halftime Hoops and Green Room and all these other things and posting straight to our website, so it's a little more smooth. Everybody's in one spot. But you can find us on all the major streaming platforms under the Leads Podcast Network.
All right, sounds good. Sounds good. And if you're new to this channel, this is the Road to 2K. So as always, Bailey, I appreciate you so much, man. Hey,
Yes,
everybody,
sir.
take care of yourself. Wash your hands. Stay 6 feet. Wear your mask and do your research on the vaccine. But at this point, what are you doing? What are we doing here? What are we doing here, guys? It's been
Just
2
take it.
years. What
Just
are we
take
doing
it.
here?
Just take it.
Bailey said it, not I. But until next time, take care of yourself. Enjoy the playoffs.